Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another broadcast of Jerusalem's Gate. What I want to do in this video is really praise a Fox report that came out last night. And, there's a saying that if you don't remember the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And this video that I'm about to show is regarding the veterans in World War II. It's a very touching video. My father served in Korea. My uncle served in World War II. Every war that this country's ever been in, my family member had someone in uniform at the time, even to the current time. So we have a long tradition in our family with the military. We have to pay homage and take care of the brave soldiers that go to war on our behalf. Not only do we support them by providing them the strongest and most powerful military that's possible to back them up when they do go into combat, but also when they get out with benefits and assistance to their needs. It's a very touching video, and I congratulate Fox News for coming out with such a awesome video, and I feel honored that I can play it here on Jerusalem's Gate. So with no further waiting, we'll go ahead and play this video. God bless you all, and here it comes.
Today marks 74 years since Allied forces stormed the beaches of Normandy in a daring mission that ultimately led to the total defeat of Nazi Germany. The things they witnessed were unspeakable. Today, in a moving ceremony in Washington, some of the men who took part in Operation Overlord laid a wreath. But ahead of that event, the good folks at the Friends of the National World War II Memorial introduced us to two of those remarkable men. Martha traveled to Washington yesterday to hear their stories.
My full name is Harlan Lincoln Harnett. I was 18 when I went into service in April of 1943. I was 19 when I went overseas.
I was 18, and my full name is MacDonald H. Leach.
You were sent over. You were on a ship for a long time?
9 days on the Ile-de-France. I was seasick for 9 straight days. I never thought I'd reach the war, but it was a relief to get off the ship.
And what do you remember your commanders telling you about the mission, about D-Day, about the invasion?
Across the English Channel, Le Havre and Cherbourg, their major objectives, the greatest force ever hurled against a hostile shore.
I don't think they really knew too much what was going to happen. We were supposed to arrive about 10 a.m. to noon, and we didn't get there until 7 o'clock in the evening because of the heavy seas. So we stayed on the LST on the beach all night and watched the firing of the British battleships and all the other ships firing onto the German fortifications on shore.
What stands out for you when you think back to being there?
Seeing the wounded and some of the dead on the beaches was kind of a tough situation.
Tell me a little bit about your arrival in France after D-Day.
We had to walk. I kept thinking the duffel bag was so heavy, and I kept thinking, I can't do this. But I thought, if all those other guys can do it, I can do it. I stopped a piece of shrapnel right across this. It was nothing but a flesh wound. But I was left in the field all night and got pneumonia.
So you were left out overnight, wounded?
Yeah, a whole bunch of us were, yeah.
There were interesting and funny times and really horrendous times. We were shelled. That was the scariest part.
One of the most poignant things to me was there was a club in London. This is before we went across to Normandy. There was such a nice girl that I danced with. And she said, my name is Dorothy, come anytime. I'm here most nights. One of the strikes on London from the air that little dance bar was completely wiped out with everybody in it.
Did you lose any friends in the war?
We lost our battery commander, and we lost a gunner sergeant and our first sergeant. My very close friend, who was a radio operator with me, Bob Bowden from New Mexico, was captured, and he was injured, and he was in a German hospital for a while. And then when they left the town, they released him and let him go. And he came back without his helmet, and glad to see him.
You remember that moment when he showed up?
Yes, I do. When he showed up and walked into the battery area, I just ran to greet him. It was great.
And you were in pretty much every major operation, all the way from Normandy to VE Day.
All 5 campaigns. Normandy, northern France, the Ardennes, that's Battle of the Bulge, the Rhineland, and Central Europe.
Tell me about when you got word that the war was over.
This is a solemn but glorious hour. I wish that Franklin D. Roosevelt had lived to see this day.
Well, we heard it on the tanker's radio in Pilsen, and it was a wild celebration. We couldn't find any Pilsner beer. I said, where's the beer? Where's the beer? Well, some of the guys got out and found a warehouse full of wonderful German brandy. They filled up a 2.5-ton truck with it, and our battery commander said, that's fine, but you got to share with the rest of the battalion.
What about you, Don? What are your memories of that?
I remember that day very vividly. A little boy who, was always underfoot in the running here and there, and he came racing in saying, "Das Krieg ist kaputt, das Krieg ist kaputt." And my lieutenant, he said, "Don't tell anybody, but I have something I've been saving." And he brought out a bottle of champagne that was room temperature, and we all drank,
There's a prayer, I don't know, maybe you're familiar with it, that FDR read on the radio. Have you ever heard that?
No, but
It's a beautiful prayer, and it was a radio address to all of the people of America on June 6th, 1944, and in part of it, he says, "They will need thy blessings.
Their road will be long and hard, for the enemy is strong. They will be sore tried by night and by day, without rest, until the victory is won. The darkness will be rent by noise and flame. Men's souls will be shaken with the violences of war."
wow. Eisenhower, all of us who were going to be in on D-Day, Eisenhower wrote a letter, and part of it is it's inscribed right here on the wall.
Do you remember what he said?
We're about to embark on the Great Crusade, and Lord helping, we'll be successful. We shall not surrender. For total victory.
Remarkable men. Learn more by visiting www.memorialfriends.org.